Like, can we just vibe? Can we sit there? Can we breathe in each other's air? Can we have stimulating organic conversations? You know what I mean? I had a
Yes.
guest a while back, was a year and a half ago, says, "Can you read to me? Can I read to you?"
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Can we sit here, watch a show, and not have to go to Pound Town? We know what's gonna happen. You
And
know what I mean?
it's fun. Like for a lot of people, it's a really important thing. It's really important to me. Like, because if we're not having the most fun in the bedroom, then we're just friends, and that's great. I love my friends, and I have realized like there has got to. I always envisioned that there was more, but I didn't know how to manifest that into my life. I didn't know how, and I'm still figuring it out. I didn't know how to foster those deep connections because that takes more than physical connection. And so we're not taught this, not through society, most of us not through our parents, like generational trauma being passed down. And so we're all walking around, like you said, looking at the wrong thing. And it's like, in my past, it was like, well, a hot face and dick, like, all right, sign me up. We'll worry about the rest later. And it doesn't work that way. All the way back to the beginning of this conversation, like mental stimulation, I think for both people, for both sexes and genders and whatever, like there's nothing quite as powerful as like a true, deep, emotional, mental connection. And then you add sex onto that. Good
It's
night.
game over. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know if we want to take them to school here, but like when you can have that deep connection, like I mean, words finish off each other's sentences. Well, I say that's kind of gets kind of weird. You know what I mean? If you can both
Yeah.
finish off each other's
But I know what
sentences.
you're saying. It's like you just get each other.
Yeah, but if
You
you
just
get to that
understand each
point,
other.
yeah, you get to that point where, because I've had it, trust me, you've all had it, and you have that, and you really latch onto that, and you just, it's like a, it's like a vice grip. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's a vice grip. It's like when that person texts you, you feel that little thing about you. You feel that little thing about her. She thinking about you, you thinking about her, and it's just like we don't. We just. I feel like we got to get back to that. And they're gonna ask. They're gonna say, "Well, how do we get back to this? The trauma, and you spoke about it. The trauma. It needs to be unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
What does trauma look like? Yes, it can start with parents, the past relationship, a job, a friend, a lover, whatever. You gotta fix some of that stuff. And I'm gonna speak to men and women here. That doesn't mean you have to maybe necessarily eliminate yourself out of dating completely, because you should be always wanting to work on yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
really, really work on those general basis of the basics of, okay, what are the X and O's, right? Whatever your favorite board game is, it's strategy. Maybe you need that coach. Maybe you need that therapist. Maybe you need that mentor. Those are three pillars right there.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear, oh, I don't have money. What?
But it's
There's
like,
free
what's the cost
resources.
of not doing this? What
There's
is the
free resources
cost?
out there. There's
Yeah.
there's
That's a
women's
lot how
groups.
I learned.
Yeah. There's women's groups. There's men's groups. There's podcasts like this. There's YouTube. Find the right people and ask the right questions. Use the power of social media if you're not sure. Hey, give me a personal recommendation of some good mentors
I
that
put
can
that on
mentor me.
threads. Just
You
throw
see
it
what I'm
out there.
saying?
You'll get hundreds of comments.
But this is the thing. It starts with this communication. If you can't communicate, you're not going to get those collaboration keys to open, right? I don't want to hear, well, I don't know what to say. Oh, I'm intimidated of meeting new people. Well, guess what? Then you're just going to stay there on level one. While a lot of us are going to be level 30, level 45 on the Tetris board just playing. You haven't even come off the start screen. Like, what we doing?
It
What are
starts
we
with
doing?
pushing through that fear. Like you have to
Right?
look at that fear. And it's not about, for me, I never coach like get over the fear. It's about seeing the fear and not allowing it to have power over you. Let the fear exist. Of course you're going to be scared. Do it anyway. reach out, post the thing, send a DM, ask for help. Like, if you just sit around and wait for it to happen, a lot of people think like that's manifesting. I don't have to do anything. No, there's aligned action. And a lot of times that aligned action comes with being.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You got to overcome those fears. You know, they people say they don't like clowns. I am fearful of clowns, but they date clowns all the time.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, let's really now peel the band-aid off. You know what I mean? And really look at what dating is supposed to be now. Dating is supposed to be you both understanding each other, maybe going to want to get to marriage, or maybe long-term dating, or maybe you slide kids in there somewhere in the mix. But if you don't know what you want out of life, don't expect to have people come into your life to figure that out for you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that what tends to happen now a lot of times is the right people come in our life at that right specific season when we have that heartbreak, when we had those, I'm gonna use your verbiage now, you get dickmatized and you have those toxic, this guy's dropping off toxic, you know, on your Friday, Saturday nights. You call him up at 2 o'clock in the morning, slide through, you let him
and,
give you what it is you want to get,
and you
and
get
then
all
you,
excited about it like it's something real.
right? And he's not even staying for to wake up with you next to you.
No,
He's coming to slide it in and just leave and say bye bye. See you later.
my
Is
Uber's
that
here.
what you? Is that what we doing? You know
For
what
a
I
lot of
mean?
us, and it's like consciously, I've been that woman. I've been her. And consciously, it's like, I know I don't want this. But that's why it's so important to go deeper with yourself, because you're like, I know I don't want this. But then nobody stops to say, I can't say nobody, but we don't stop to say, then why the am I doing it? Like, what is it that is so worthless inside of me that I am putting myself in this situation just to feel good for 20 minutes, half an hour, on a good night, maybe an hour?
Because you
It's
want to know
like,
what it is. You really want to know what it is. Men and women love the attention that broken gives them
mm-hmm. It's because you're
because you can go
addicted to
run.
toxicity.
You can go run to your friends on those nights. Oh, he just came over for 30 minutes and left.
What an
Or
asshole.
you can call up your boys and be like, yo, man, yo, I don't know what's up with that girl, man. I was spend the night with her and now she doesn't want to talk to me. Like, you love the attention that broken gives you because you don't want to go into your chamber to go repair and build the blocks back. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? If you
Yeah,
got,
absolutely.
I'll even say it like this. If you got a pack of broken crayons, they can still color, ladies and gentlemen.
You
Your crayons can still color. You don't have to go buy a new pack.
could still make a
But you know
beautiful
what?
picture, actually.
There you go. There you
Write a
go.
beautiful
But you,
story.
there you go. But you gotta be able to do the work. And I know what they'll say is they'll be like, well, it's so easy for you to say this. Is it though? Or is it did I simply sit here in the pandemic and learn the development to
I
simply
was going to ask,
have
like,
me?
what was your catalyst? Like, when did you, were, and I don't know how much you want to get into your past, but like, what was your transformation? Were you that guy who used to just like roll through and slip it in and grab an Uber, and you
No,
realize like, this is not my vibe,
no,
or like, what,
no.
what was your
That wasn't me.
catalyst?
That wasn't me. I would have said there's probably been two significant breakups. Now, the ones that are going to be listening to this, they're like, uh oh, where is he about to go? Is he about to drop the names? I would have said it would have been 2010, 2010, 2011, and then 2019. Two significant times. Two women that I've loved. They're listening in. It's always love and peace and prosperity to that other side. But now they can't even reach me because it's like they can't even hold a torch to me now. They're like, who's this guy? This ain't the same dude, right? I know my best friend will say this here. I called him when he was in Niagara Falls. And when I was where I was at the time and I had tears in my eyes. This was 2010, 2011. I said, this is what's going on. He said, dude, hold it right there. Why are you crying? Make a pros and cons list. Out that pros and cons list came a certified personal trainer. Out that pros and cons list came a guy that was a podcaster in 2016. You see what I'm saying? I go 2019. I thought this was the love of my life. There's a lot that's there. That's its own storybook. Maybe the book is being written right now.
Absolutely. It's all, everything's always happening behind the scenes. As your
Yeah,
resident manifestation coach, like things are
yeah,
always happening. And I think if something lives in your heart, it is 1000% meant to
yeah,
live there. So like, let it bloom.
yeah. So 2019 situation got kind of wonky. Everything where it decided to go, I was done. I was in shambles. Not a lot of people know this story, but I'm gonna give it to them today. I went into work. I was so upset. 8 o'clock in the morning. Shout outs to that manager that saw me at the front, put his arms around me and said everything's gonna be okay. Because he knew about the whole situation. He felt it. He felt that energy.
Yeah.
But what came out of that?
Oh, that gave me
I
goosebumps.
Yeah, what came out of that was I had to rebuild, re-break, reship,
Mm-hmm.
resurface myself. That's where came certified life coaching. And then the podcast started becoming what it needed to become. So what I'm trying to say to people is that, listen, there's three things in life that we end up going through. We either enter a storm, in a storm, or coming out of the storm. When you listen to those stories that I just said, I was in that storm and I came out that storm as a whole brand new person. That's why nothing right now can really penetrate me. This is the reason why I say the things that it is I say the way I say it, and I'm very direct. And I know I'm looking outside, it's about to be a thunderstorm, so I'm like, did I just create this over here in Canada?
That's funny.
Right? But it's just like, at the end of the day, I know who it is now I am. I've been known who it is I am. I know who I'm meant to be, where I'm meant to go. And like I said, there's a lot of people betting on me. There's a lot of people that are counting on me to be able to help them. But you know
Yeah.
what? I say this to every single person. Heal those wounds, heal them as best as you can, but stop bleeding on people. I
Oof.
mean, when you got those scrapes and those cuts, when mom and dad were have you out there on the tricycle and you were doing what it is you needed to do and you scraped your knee and they cleaned it up with polysporin, they put a band-aid on. Some of y'all got some deep wounds out here that I don't even think staples and stitches can even cover. You need to like go to the hospital, get the nurse, get the
Find a
doctor.
surgeon.
There you go. Put you back together again, and you need to put yourself on IR for about 6 to 9 months. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And when I say put yourself on IR, that means put yourself on injured reserve. Don't even enter the dating pool. Cut out the apps, cut out Instagram, cut out the text messaging. Just text your friends. Don't
Yeah.
come out in this dating pool broken, shattered. You walking around with no ACL, but you want to still simply sit here and put up shots in the gym. What
You
we
you want to you
doing?
want to run a marathon with me? Your fucking legs broken. Like
You see what
no.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
right now, I'm repaired. I'm we're trying to not we're trying to either run the race or we're trying to play 82 games. We're trying to get to the playoffs. We're trying to win championship rings. What are you wanting to be on? Because I can't take you on my team if you a liability. So
Totally.
men and women that listen to this, stop entertaining people that are liabilities. Stop
Yes.
entertaining people that are not serving the purpose. I don't care. This you see, you know what it is? I'm gonna say it.
What?
I'm gonna
Tell
say
me.
it. I'm gonna say it. 'Cause I love moments like this. A lot of men, I think they look at the women that they have in their life because she's got a nice body, and you fall in love with her body, but it's her mind that's gonna get you to raise the kids. Then you have a lot of women that get dickmatized, and it's just like, well, it's the dick. I understand it works, but you have dildos and you have other things out there that you can use if that is what you're all about. But you have to understand that has to be the representation of the man that's going to raise your kids or the man that you're going to raise to bring to your family.
Hmm.
So, what's your trade off? What is it you want out of life? I know I'm triggering people, right? Trust me, I'm going to get messages.
No.
Hey, it is what it is.
Let them come in. And it's funny that we're having this conversation because I truly believe, again, manifestation, like when you ask for something, the thing that I teach is that there's nothing coming to save you. Like when you want something, there's nothing coming to save you. But when you ask for something, you're going to get a catalyst. And for me right now, like this is reflecting back to me is that I am stepping into the same space as you because my whole mentality is everything is a reflection. So if your first line of defense isn't to look in the mirror when something happens in your life, then you're in victim mode. STFU, beat it, go look in the mirror, have a conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what is being reflected back to me right now? Because you can boo-hoo. I mean, I used to say, if there's a douchebag within an 8-mile radius of me, I will find him and I will fall in love with him. Guess what? They weren't the common denominator. I was. It was my emotional unavailability that was settling for somebody who was saying, Kristen, I don't want a relationship with you. And then my whole entire programming was like, chase him, beg him, earn it, work for it. Don't stop until you get it. And then I would project that back onto them and be like, well, you're an asshole. No, Kristen, you are. So it's like, you can't keep walking around blaming the outside world for your issues. And this was hard for me because my brain goes, well, what if it's this situation, Kristen? What if it's a woman that's getting physically abused? What if it's a narcissist? At some point, you have to grab life by its little balls and twist and go, I'm done with this. I'm done allowing myself to be in this situation that doesn't make me happy, that doesn't set my soul on fire. I have the capability to leave this situation. And if I'm not leaving, then I'm part of the problem. And stepping into that is hard because it triggers people who aren't ready to hear it. You get the emails, you get the messages on your Instagram that are like, you're an idiot. And it's like, oof, am I? No, I'm not. Because I
Or
have to sink into what I believe.
or the best one is, it depends on the city that you're in, the population that you're in, right? Is that people will see you out. You may have had a little bit of an encounter with them. You may have went out on a date. They look at you and it's like they just see like a deer in headlights when they anytime you step in a room because that aura is just shining because they
It's
realize that they couldn't cut it. You know
different.
what I mean?
Oh, that's
They
fun.
just they see it and they feel it and they just stare. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's what I say to men. It's like, you know, we can even make this even more teachable. Men, start when you go out there. Stop thinking that you need to chase women in a nightclub or you're out and you're trying to just, be around that. You can be out there. Anytime I'm out there, I'm going to be honest, 9 times out of 10, I'm getting approached. And some people are like, well, wait, how are you getting approached? Because it's like just how I stand there.
It's your
How I
energy.
stand there. It's my energy. And people radiate to that. People come up to you. People are like, wait, I've seen you before. Or wait, did you not work there before? And I'm just like, oh, this is a familiar face. But this is the thing as a podcaster, you get that notoriety. So a
Hmm.
lot of people start seeing your face popping up on these clips. I've been out where people have told me like, hey, listen, we share your clips all the time in a group chat. And I'm like, really? Damn, okay.
That's so cool.
But and it is cool, but you never let that, you never ride that
Yeah.
to the what is the word I'm looking for? You never ride that to the place of like saying, oh yeah, I'm bigger and better than anybody. Because people
No, because
recognize
that's
you for
ego.
yeah, people recognize you for what it is you're bringing to the table. You stepping into being authentic, even though I hate that word now because they
Me
were
too.
they were they were killed in pandemic season. But it's just like knowing who you are, and when you know who you are, so listen, you're gonna ruffle some feathers. But what we're trying to say here is that you can know who you are and still have a safe space. Because I've been talking on the same tone the whole entire time. You don't hear me getting animated. You don't hear me cussing and going crazy. No, because I know who it is I am. A lot of people don't know who they are. So,
Very
what are you
true.
gonna do today after you listen to this? What are you gonna do tomorrow to be the best version of yourself? Right? You could be like her and have a whole fishbowl with the spritz and the lemon
Get your
and the
mocktail
fruits
on, guys. Get
and
your
the
mocktail
mocktail.
on.
I
It's
call
just
it the Drake
water.
drink. I call it the Drake drink. But you can
Drink,
you
drink.
can you can do whatever it is you set your mind to. Just stop living in this victim mentality.
Yes. That is the first step is you have to say, I'm going to take full accountability for my life. You cannot, which doesn't mean now when I did this, I was like, oh my God, if everything's a reflection, that means everything's my fault. And that is what I try. I think sometimes it's like a rite of passage when you're going through this journey is like, you have to go through that. Like, oh, now I'm blaming myself. But try and avoid that as much as you can in terms of like, oh my God, if I create my reality, then this is all my fault. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about becoming aware of who you're being. And that isn't even about changing it. It's just like, oh, this is who I'm being. Right now in this moment, this is who I'm being. Subsequently, when you really sink into that and you realize who you're being and it's not eliciting the result you want, then you're going to be like, okay, now I can change it. but it's not about blaming yourself or like shaming yourself for the situations and the things that have happened. It's just about changing your perspective on life. Because when you change the way you look at the world around you changes. And it's beautiful when you sink into that energy of knowing who you are, of being really authentic, both good and bad. Like if you have flaws, admitting those and allowing them, that's authenticity too. You know, it's just really about being human and allowing yourself to be human. And then you will attract other humans who also recognize their own humanity. And it's glorious when you are around people who you're like, damn, I really honestly feel safe. I don't feel like I have to be something I'm not.
And that's the thing. Energy, energy's a funny thing. Energy's a funny thing because when you, when you're, whatever stage you're in your life, the right energy will find you and the right energy will repel itself from you. And when people know that they can't be on your frequency, that's where you start seeing the malfunction,
Oh, they'll try
right?
and tear you right on down. I can't climb.
Right?
I want to rip you down.
Right? So I'll give you an example. You go out places, women see you, they see how you talk, you get labels of arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
cocky, you're know it all. Who do you think you are?
That's how you
And all
speak to
they're
me like
saying
that.
to you, yeah, all they're saying to you is that you stand in your own solid foundation and they can't match that. So what people have to use is confirmation bias to make them believe what's going on, or they use ad hominems in any time you get into a debate. More food for the nature of people. Go on your Googles because we're not going to turn this into an English class because then you can't pay the both of us. But confirmation bias is something that I think 60 to 70 people in 70 60 to 70% of the people in the world they live by. Ad hominems, anytime you're in a conversation and somebody wants to poke fun or they start mocking you and dissing you, that's just basically they're using ad hominems to try to steer the conversation because they can't win. That's just it, right?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, who are you being? Because it's who you're being that is manifesting, and who you're being is what will attract. So if you're being somebody that isn't emotionally available and cannot choose yourself, you're going to attract the same type of people. And then you're going to project all that emotional unavailability and you're going to say, well, it was his fault. He was an asshole, which I did for a long time. And again, I had to reflect it back. I was the asshole. Like it was me. I was my own red flag. And, you know, I can look back at some of the men that I dated and still say that, like in looking back at those situations. Yeah, there's some men that I'm like, oof, don't know what I was doing there. There's others that I'm like, that actually could have been something more had we both been able to see past our own insecurities. But I had to go through that to learn. So, that's why you got to always look at yourself and continue to just reinforce that cycle within, because that energy is what is attracting the people in your life, or it is what you are attracted to, more importantly.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think you said that it's both people, but the ones that got away, do you think it was because of you or do you think it was because of the both?
Um, I don't have a man that I look back and I'm like, oh my God, he was so perfect for me and I fucked it all up. Like I was a complete, I don't think that I have attracted men that could provide a safe environment for me. But I also, looking back, like I was very hot and cold because I have a very disorganized attachment style because of what I grew up with. So for me, it's like the second they did something that felt unsafe in my person, I was like, bye, you got to go. I can't do this anymore. And so I look back on some of that and they were probably like, I was a long texter and they're probably like, oh, Jesus, God, like it's a lot. And I'm like, okay, I am a lot. Like I have big feelings, big emotions, big personality. I am holding space for somebody who can hold space for that. Because as soon as you get in a relationship, like you're going to be triggered. Those triggers are going to come up. You're going to have those
So
moments where I want to send the long text. I just need the
So
guy who can hold space for it.
so you're speaking to my language because here's what I love. You said being a long texter. So when I listen to that, that speaks of that women will always communicate when she's openly wanting to about her feelings and things that are going on. And I tell a lot of men this. If she's not talking to you and she's not really pouring into you,
Some
a
of
woman
us
will
more than
always
others.
will find a way to communicate and pour into you. Like it doesn't matter it could be the boss, it could be the neighbor, it could be where she got her driving coffee. She gonna explain something. If she's not doing that, she's not doing that for you. She's doing that with somebody else.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
just how it is. Because see, I'm gonna give him the sauce right now, and it speaks to a lot of things. Because I think they're gonna say, "Well, Rory, you can't keep holding women's feet to the fire." I can. It's because I think that you gotta stop falling in love with this potential. You see what I'm saying? And start looking at men that hold more substance, right? If you think because the guy's got a good shaft and he can knock it out the park, you know, congratulations, you're playing yourself. But you have to ask yourself is when you reach your orgasm and you reach your climax, is it operating off of mental stimulation or is it operating off of just physical? Because you're getting two different ones there. But I'm gonna let you cook on that for me. What comes up for you there?
It's, there, my first instinct, and I'm getting more comfortable saying this, is like, I don't know because I've made this mistake quite a few times. And the last one that I made it with, and I've gotten into this a little bit, but I feel like it's about to get deep right now. The last one that I made this mistake with still has a little hold of my heart. And we hooked up 3 times. This is why I say, like, what is on your heart, allow it there. Because it was very mentally stimulating for me. Like, that connection that I had with him felt incredibly real. Like, the commonalities, yes, the chemistry, which I know is like a very surface level word, but it felt deeper to me. Like, not, I don't feel that way about everyone. And yes, the sex was bomb for me. Do I think it happened too soon? Yes. And do I think that sex creates more issues than it doesn't before it doesn't? Like, if you don't wait until that safety in the relationship occurs before you have sex, I think it can create more problems than you want it to, because now you're fucking without commitment. And most women want to feel the safety of commitment before they get in bed with somebody, but they don't wait for that commitment before they do it. And that's not a game play. A lot of women will say, like, oh, well, now I'm playing games, like making him wait. No, you're actually protecting your peace by waiting. And we don't step into that enough. And it doesn't give us a chance to really know whether or not that surface level chemistry is actually connection. Go a level deeper, because we freak out inside. I mean, hormonally, like, the shit that goes on in our body when we orgasm from somebody, like, it's a love altering hormone. Like, it's a bonding agent that happens that makes us feel really connected to somebody. And now we're like, I love this person, but you actually don't fucking know him and you're
Ooh,
filling a void.
oh yes, we are here. I love how I dressed that up to you because now it kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about. Because see, society once again lying to women. You said about the chemical
Mm-hmm.
oxytocin. I
Yeah.
believe that's what the
Mm-hmm.
chemical is, right? So do that with every guy that you see. Because you got some girls out here, and you got some men. But see, men mate differently how women mate because at the end of the day,
Yes.
a woman has to have an emotional connection to a guy to be able to sleep with him. And if anybody says no, they don't, they're lying.
There has to be something.
There
I,
has to
I,
be
I
some.
don't, I, if there is a woman out there who fucks for sport, she's got some really deep seated issues that she can't address. I would
Now
say
you're
the same
speaking my
about
language.
men. I just think it's easier for men to disconnect from that than your typical woman.
There you go. So think about when women be doing this at a frequent basis. And the sad reality is you have to have some level of, wait, did I not say discernment at some point of the podcast?
It's one of the words of the day.
Discernment, right? You have to have some discernment and some decorum on what it is you're doing. Because you have to ask yourself this question. When we're thinking about sex, you're swapping your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're wanting to bear child, at some point in time, your body count got to be a little bit lower than it needs to be. And a lot of people say, no, it doesn't. It should. Because if it's not, you're going to lose your ability to pair bond with the right person. Because now all you're doing is you're playing comparisons. You're playing comparison. You're comparison now. Now we're
I was
playing
nervous
analytical
about this
games.
body count
No, no, no,
conversation,
no, no,
but
no, no. It's all good. It's
no,
like
it's, I
this.
think you're right. I think you're right.
I'm gonna break it down from a sports betting perspective because I'm starting to really learn about sports betting a lot, especially baseball, because baseball is a very analytical game.
Yes, it
You
is. My
have
favorite sport. It's my favorite
you have
one.
you have left you have and this is I didn't even know that, right? So this is news to me. You have left-handed pitchers and you have right-handed pitchers. Left-handed pitchers versus right-handed hitters versus left-handed hitters is going to be a lot very different. That's why you see some of these pitchers get rocked before the third inning. What I'm basically trying to say is you have to play the analytical game. The lower level of guys that I bring around me, and I'm saying committed relationships. Like you can be in from the age of like 20, be in a 5-year relationship, 2-year relationship, and then you're kind of like this mellowing it out. And then maybe you have a phase for 3 years where you sleep with 5 guys. That's what 8 in total I just gave you. You're now playing in a very dangerous zone because now you're getting into that 30s, right? Now you got to ask yourself is okay, if I want to have a committed relationship with that man, or I'll just sprinkle this one out with that woman, how's this going to look? Because the lower, it's going to allow yourself the ability to understand what it is you're wanting, right? The substance, the substance, the substance. The more guys you have coming in, out, in, out, in, out, you're taking on all their trauma. You're taking on all their drama, all their past traumatic situations. And that's the reason why I have this conversation with guys. And guys say to me, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm saying you deal with low vibrational people. Because if you meet a woman that has a level of discernment, she's going to take it off the table. Myself, here's breaking news. When I go out there, I take it off the table also too, because I have to go back. If people are listening to the podcast and are watching the podcast, what is it that I said? I have a level of discernment on myself. I know what it is I want. It doesn't have to be physical. Physical's the bonus. Physical's the
Yes.
bonus. It's can I simply sit here in a room with you and can we vibe? Because you hear it all the time. I've heard it on podcasts that I listen to. The real podcasts I listen to, not these boy girl podcasts that are spewing out foolishness. Post nut clarity. Men have that also too, because when we get that post nut
Oh,
clarity,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, wait, what am I doing here?
What the fuck did I just do?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
no, it's a thing.
it's
And then it, this is, as women, like, you have to be able to realize that these are real things and that it doesn't say anything about your worth, but you stepped into a situation where he's not mentally stimulated and now it's done. And he's like, all right, well, there's nothing here anymore and there's nothing here. So I got to go. Like my Uber's outside. And then we take that energy and we internalize that. And now it's like, oh my God, I'm not worth that. I'm not worth more than this. But society tells me I can sleep with whoever I want. And I'm supposed to be okay with it.
and I want to clear something up also too. This is not for the people that are in this poly BS. We're not talking to y'all. So just go home. We're talking about the people that want like that committed relationship. They want that monogamous relationship. They want to simply sit here and explore all different areas because it goes back even to love languages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're speaking grown talk. If you know your love language and that person can connect with that love language, it's a wrap. It's game over. It's all like it's. I'm a words of affirmation person, so look at my life, you look at how my schedule is set up. If there's words of affirmation going in the early stages and we're just building and we're firing off all that, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Newsflash, why a lot of these relationships didn't work because I've been doing the research, I've been doing the not even the work, but I've been studying like a madman. I've been doing the homework. A lot of these women brought the words of affirmation when it was on the back end of the relationship when I was already mentally checked out.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're a words of affirmation person, you have nothing to worry about because I'm gonna have a gift for gab. I can we can
So do
talk about
you
almost anything.
communicate that, or do you kind of just like set the stage and then, I don't want to use the word assume, but like kind of assume that you've set the stage so that they know that? Or do you flat out tell them, like, listen, I'm a words of affirmation person. That is my love language. That's what's
I
going
think
to help me
so.
connect.
I think when it comes to zodiac and it comes to the words, or sorry, when it comes to zodiac and it comes to the love languages, a lot of women will bring that up because they're curious to see,
Yeah.
right? But then there's some that don't do it. But you should be able to pinpoint. I know you can't assume, but you should be able to pinpoint what's in front of you and be like, okay,
If
what
you're
is
paying
this guy?
attention.
Because if you're paying attention, majority of people that are very good communicators most likely gonna be a words of affirmation person from what I've seen. Like this is like this within any like friend groups, people that are acquaintances. A lot of them I can pinpoint it off, and that's not my coaching background coming out. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of them are very words of affirmation, quality time is what it falls underneath.